what I said about the Jacksonville Jaguars in terms of they're drafting high every year for a reason, in large part because of their failures in the NFL draft. They continue to make the same mistakes and they continue to find themselves in the same position. Well, oh my God. If there was any team that you could say that about in the National Football League, it is the Cleveland effing Browns. Now, to me, obviously, the number one draft need, if there was an ability to fill this need through a draft, would be a new owner. Not only is their owner an incompetent nincompoop in terms of running an NFL franchise, he's also a fucking criminal, too. So he rips off truckers of hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's as scatterbrained as an owner who can't decide on what the hell he wants because he doesn't know what the hell he wants, because he's in over his head, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And of course, I'm talking about Jimmy Haslam. I could sit there and say there are a lot of NFL front office people and executives that I might want to think that I was better than, but probably at the end of the day, I would not be. However, I could promise you this much. There are two people that if you gave me the opportunity to run 3 years of drafts, go head-to-head with them, I guarantee you I would do better than. That's Jerry Jones, and that sure as fuck is Jimmy Haslam. Because it doesn't matter, it seems. As long as you got Haslam there, there's always going to be chaos, there's always going to be anarchy, and there's always going to be stupidity. The bottom line is, if you're changing head coaches every year or two, if you're changing GMs and team presidents every year or two, you know what direction you're going in every time you have a new direction? No fucking direction at all. It's like a roundabout. You're just spinning your wheels, and that's exactly what the Cleveland Browns have done. Now, in terms of their recent draft history, they've had a couple of big hits, a couple of huge misses, and they still have some questions. So it's been a very scattered, mixed bag. But where some of those misses have come, they have been very big misses indeed. Now, in terms of hits, you look at Josh Gordon. He was a second-round supplemental pick in 2012. Cost him a second-round pick, in 2013. I think everybody would agree that that was well worth it, especially looking at the fact that he led the league in receiving this year. Yeah, that was worth it. That's one of those good things that they did. That was a big-time hit. Getting a Jordan Cameron in the 4th round in 2011 out of USC. He stepped up, and he had a big year this year. That would classify as a big hit. So now, when you're talking about a Cleveland Browns organization, you've got one of the better left tackles in pro football in Joe Thomas. You've got one of the better centers, assuming they keep him, which, for all we know, they'll screw the pooch on that. You've got one of the better centers in the National Football League in Alex Mack. You've got one of the most explosive perimeter weapons at wide receiver in the NFL in Josh Gordon. And you've got one of the more explosive tight end weapons in the NFL in Jordan Cameron. There are pieces there on the offensive side of the ball. There are also pieces there on the defensive side of the ball, which makes it very frustrating, I would have to imagine, as a Cleveland Browns fan, to see the fact that you actually have some talent. And they still suck. Well, part of the reason is every 2 years they're cleaning house. And the problem is they're not cleaning house in the right place, which is a fucking incompetent, stupid-ass crook of an owner. But even with that being said, they've had some huge misses in the draft in recent years. Trent Richardson, yeah, huge miss. And make it so bad is they moved up in that 2012 draft from number 4 to number 3 to ensure that they got Trent Richardson for whatever damn reason. They traded up, gave up a few third-day picks to get him. Oopsie daisies. A little over a year later, he's gone. Yeah, you could sit there and say they recouped a first-round pick for him, but in the grand scheme of things, in a talent-loaded draft like 2012, they could have taken a Tannehill, let's say, instead of a Trent Richardson. Now, in 2014, yet again, they are looking for a freaking quarterback, and they gave up all those third-day picks. That's what good organizations do. They basically traded the 4th or 3rd overall pick in 2012 for the 26th overall pick in 2014. Again, that makes the Cleveland Browns losers, no matter what you say. Brandon Weeden. Whew. That wasn't good. That was a loser of a pick for the Cleveland Browns. Lesson learned, don't take 29-year-old quarterbacks in the first round of the draft, especially when your team isn't truly ready to contend. And especially if that guy under Brandon Weeden might not be that dedicated to his craft and not be that willing to work hard to improve. Another second-round pick like a Greg Little, complete bust. I mean, Mr. Dependable. Oh, my God, I can't believe Brad Nessler ever spewed out that hot garbage. Inconsistent as shit. That's the best way to put it. you get Josh Gordon in the second round of a supplemental draft, and Greg Little was a legit second round pick. Oh my God. It's a difference of night and day. And you still got questions too, like Barkevius Mingle, their first round pick in the 2013 draft. He showed some flashes, but again, this is how stupid this organization is. They brought in an offensive minded head coach and then immediately proceeded to draft a 3-4 outside linebacker, number 6 overall. And you know who does that? Dumb dick organizations like the Cleveland Browns. I've heard all the propaganda and all the talk about the Cleveland Browns being in a position of real power in 2014 is going to be their year in their draft. Bullshit. I'll believe it when I see it. Now, with that being said, they are, in theory, set up very well if they have the right guy at general manager, and I don't know if Ray Farmer is or not, frankly. And if Mike Pettine, their new head coach, is a good evaluator of talent or not, I don't know. We're going to find out. But in theory, you would think that they are set up in a position of power in this draft to be one of the real power merchants and to really do some good things here if they weren't the Cleveland Browns. They've got 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, 2 third-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, and a pick in rounds 5, 6, and 7. So a total of 10 picks, and 7 of those picks come in the first 4 rounds, and 2 of them in each the first, third, and the fourth round. So there is a potential here for the Cleveland Browns in a deep, strong draft to really change their organization's fortunes in a big hurry here by landing some big-time stars and some big-time impact players. What they have to do, though, in terms of a draft strategy, is they have to find their future at quarterback. And then, to me, they have to establish an organizational identity around that quarterback, period. Even with guys like Joe Thomas, and assuming they keep him and they don't screw the pooch on that, which is possible, Alex Mack, and guys like Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron, some of the pieces are in place to have a dynamic offense in Cleveland. Yes, there is. You've got some talent to work with there. Imagine how nice it would be to bring in a real competent young quarterback, and he looks and he has Josh Gordon to throw to and Jordan Cameron to throw to, and he has Joe Thomas protecting his blind side, and he has Alex Mack protecting him in the middle. You know, it's not the worst position and the worst situation in theory for a quarterback to go into as a rookie in Cleveland. It really isn't, except for the stench of the Cleveland Browns organization and all the dumb shit that they do. Now, of course, you would sit there and say, well, they're bringing in a defensive-minded head coach, so they probably should focus on the defensive side of the ball, Jeff. And you know what? You could sit there and make that argument, but they're the Browns and they're dumb. But I actually agree with them in this case. When the Colts brought in Chuck Pagano after the 2011 season, they drafted Andrew Luck, and they built around Andrew Luck in that first draft on the offensive side of the football. And that's, to me, what the Cleveland Browns should be doing in this 2014 NFL draft. They can sit there and talk about the division that they play in, that they got to be able to play defense like the guys in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And I say that's a bunch of bullshit. The Cleveland Browns need to be able to score points. The Cleveland Browns need to be the most explosive offense in their division. That's what they need to do. They need that franchise quarterback that they haven't had since they re-entered the league in 1999. You know, Bernie Kosar ain't walking through that damn door anymore, and thankfully for Browns fans, neither is Eric Zaire. You know, you need a young franchise quarterback, and then you have to do everything you can to put him in a position to succeed, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. To me, with the Browns, I advocate them taking the best available offensive player at number 4. I advocate them taking a quarterback at number 26, or perhaps even rolling the dice and trying to get 3 first-round picks in this very good draft. I would be a strong proponent and advocate of that they have the extra third and the extra fourth-round pick to be able to make that move. You could sit there and say, hey, I'm going to take a Sammy Watkins at 4. At 26, maybe I pray that a Teddy Bridgewater or Derek Carr falls to me. Because sometimes you roll the dice and those gambles pay off and those quarterbacks slide and you end up doing, well, the only problem is the Cleveland Browns have done that before. See 2007 with Joe Thomas and Brady Quinn. See that in 2012 with Trent Richardson and Brandon Weeden. So it would be like history repeating itself again, so I almost feel kind of hypocritical sitting there telling them to do it yet again. But the fact of the matter remains is that they could do this if they get the right people, which you could say just about anybody. But to me, at 4, If the quarterback is there, then you take the quarterback there and you don't take any chances. Then at 26, you take the wide receiver. Then maybe if you feel so urgently necessary to do it, then maybe you trade back up to the last couple of picks of round 1 and you take a running back. If you feel the running back's grading out at early round 2, maybe you make sure you get him in round 1 to complement him with Ben Tate. Maybe you trade back up and get an offensive tackle, somebody like if a Taylor Lewan is there or Morgan Moses from Virginia is there, and that way you can slide Mitchell Schwartz into a position that he's more comfortable at and is probably better suited to play, which is a right guard. Or you sit there and you take a Greg Robinson, number 4. The point I'm getting at here is that the Cleveland Browns need to focus on the offensive side of the football in this draft. They must find their young quarterback. I don't care if that's at pick 4, at pick 26. I don't care what the hell they do. Because I even wonder at the end of the day if it even matters. Because it almost seems like they're destined to screw this up. Or even if they get this half-ass right, their incompetent criminal owner in 2 years is going to sit there and fire the coach and fire the general manager because he's an incompetent criminal. The way Jimmy Haslam is running his Cleveland Browns, that's criminal. And it's a shame, too, because that's a city that deserves to have some good news for a change. But sadly, I don't know if it's going to come anytime soon from the Cleveland Browns. But if you are an optimistic, never say die Cleveland Browns fan, there is reason for hope. The positions where your Browns have needs, primarily, again, on the offensive side of the football, where they're picking, it makes a lot of sense to address those different needs. A quarterback, wide receiver, running back, offensive guard. You could even throw in a second tight end. Why just have Jordan Cameron? Why not have 2 guys like him? Why not fucking blow up all over the place and just have the most dynamic, explosive offense in the AFC North? Because if everybody else can play great defense, then you need to be counterculture to that and be that explosive offense, more explosive than, let's say, a Cincinnati or certainly a Baltimore or a Pittsburgh. We'll see what the Cleveland Browns do. For all I know, the Cleveland Browns will sit there at pick 4 and take a defensive player because that's what dumb organizations do. Then they'll turn around at 26 and take a safety or a corner and end up with 2 defensive players in round 1 because, again, that's what dumb organizations do. And when it comes to dumb organizations and incompetent criminal owners, the Cleveland Browns certainly take the cake.